From homeless Negro to Milionário, the Donald Trump and Elon Musk story. You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. Picture this, a kid. No family, no home, nothing but the cracked pavement and harsh city air. Dirty clothes, empty stomach, and a heart heavy with the kind of loneliness that punches you in the gut every single night. Sounds like a story of pain, right? But hold up! That same kid grew up to become a billionaire. A man building empires that rival Trump's towers and Musk's rockets. Sounds crazy? It gets even stranger. Lucas was just another face lost in a sea of shadows. But somewhere between those cold nights and flashing city lights, something inside him never broke. Fast forward, and this kid, no, this force, owns skyscrapers that scrape the sky and companies that move markets. He walks through golden halls where power whispers behind every door, surrounded by suits and silk ties. But you can see it flicker in his eyes, the corners that wrinkle when loneliness creeps in. One rainy evening, cutting through the buzzing neon noise of the crowded city, something pulls him. Mama Soul, a black homeless woman wrapped in ragged blankets, like a queen without a throne, stands against a graffiti-coated wall. Beside her, a girl no older than 14, Clara. This kid's hands fly over cans of spray paint, splattering colors into life. It's raw, real, spectacle, burning with a kind of fire Lucas hasn't seen since he was a boy. Her art screams truth from cracked bricks, echoes the pain of forgotten streets. As Lucas watches, his chest tightens. Memories flood back. Hunger, cold, fear. That ache wraps tight around his ribs, clutching hard. He wants to reach out. To help. But beneath the glimmer of gold rings on his fingers, a war rages. Because sitting at the same polished table is his business partner, slick and sharp, already drawing plans to evict Mama Soul and Clara. Land grab, big money deal. No room for street dreamers. Suddenly, Clara's art starts exploding online. Likes, shares, followers, the world starts noticing the girl with the gift. And just like that, Lucas's perfect image, the iron suit and clean headlines, begins to crack. His name linked to street kids, homeless queens, and a fight that could destroy everything he built. Is he just going to watch them get crushed? Or does he risk it all? His fortune, his empire, even his reputation to fight for what's right. But then, as if fate enjoys toying with him, a secret slips through the cracks. A shocking truth about Clara's past. Something that binds her closer to Lucas than either could imagine. Suddenly, this story is no longer about money or power. It's about family. About guilt, about the choice between running from your past or embracing it before it's too late. What will Lucas do when everything he's built comes down to one choice? And that choice cuts deeper than any scandal. How far will he go to rewrite his story? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Lucas stood there, torn between two worlds. The palette of Clara's paint, vibrant and alive, tugged at his heart. But the whispers of heavy suits preparing to strike loomed over him like a storm cloud. He took a step forward, then hesitated. Just then, a commotion broke out behind him. Shouts echoed amidst the city noise. A crowd had gathered near a street vendor's cart. A sharp scream pierced the air, slicing through the chatter and laughter. Every eye turned, every heart skipped a beat. Panic spread faster than wildfire. Clara sangre froce abajo del papel de pestaña. La pintura une sangra el pecho verde. El causante vido enfrente, todo disparado con el corazón parado, y podía ver cómo se calma. Imagínense por fin. Está pasando de una carga. Mis todas. Claridad estrojo como rayote. Ha habido un accidente. El hermano de Clara, mía, se le me espanta. Buah. Se le encontró y cae el cabezazo sobre la mente. ¿Qué hizo por Peimiro? Desapareció Clara por temor, pero fue de espante y preocupado y pesado. ¿Quién acreditó ya se empezó a entender? ¿Qué pasó? Me sipayan a preocupaciones grandes. Dingpon plas porpa, yau ba filiats credigo eso. Sin compasión. El hermano de Clara. Van a usarse la copa, por favor. Clara con el pelo apartado, feliz pero también con Barton y todo el corazón. ¿De qué? ¿De qué? Me espero antes del té. De cuenta bien mejorí. De tu paciencia más personal. Lucas had no idea. What do you mean? He gasped, voice rising. The crowd was buzzing, uncertain. A shiver crawled up his spine as more details leaked out. An overdose. A fight gone wrong. Lucas felt rocks form in his throat as Mama Soul cried out descriptions, frantic and raw. Please, you have to help her. The weight of those words hit him like a punch. The ties to Clara, to the very heart of her pain, they snapped into focus. Lucas's mind raced. He'd built walls around himself, high and strong, thinking he was separate from the struggles of the streets. But now, those very struggles were crashing into him. Before he could respond, Clara dashed past him, her face a storm of fear. Lucas, you have to help me find him! My brother! The desperation in her voice rang like a bell. He called after her, but she was lost in the tide of panic, the concrete jungle swallowing her whole. Then it hit him, a terrifying thought. What if he had the power to prevent this? What if he could use his connections, his privilege, to save the brother of the girl whose art had set off a wildfire in his heart? Just as that thought solidified, another wave crashed. Clara's brother wasn't just anyone. Lucas's heart dropped when realization clawed its way to the surface. Wait, he shouted, desperation creeping in. But it was too late. Clara had vanished into the downpour of people, and Lucas was left clutching his chest, torn between his empire and those raw connections he had dared to forget. He stepped back, breath shallow and uneven. The crowd was restless, nervous murmurs swirling like smoke around him. What if? What if Clara's brother was tied to the very past Lucas was running from? A past of pain, betrayal, and loss that had been hidden under the glossy sheen of his billionaire life. His palms felt cold against his skin. An iron grip of fear tightened around his heart. And in that moment, the truth crashed in, shocking him deeper than any revelation he had ever faced. What if saving Clara meant uncovering a secret that would shatter everything he built? Shadows danced at the edges of his mind as he realized maybe the art of the streets was tied more deeply to him than he ever wanted to admit. What would he choose? Wealth or family? Fear or truth? The question lingered, heavy in the air, making the fine hairs on his arms stand on end, as if the city itself held its breath, waiting for the answer. Would he really fight for them, or run again, from both his past and from Clara, now slammed tight against the wall of reality? Time felt suspended. The air crackled with uncertainty, a storm brewing. The stakes had suddenly turned dark, and now Lucas stood at a crossroads more profound than he had ever imagined. Lucas stood there, frozen in a tide of memories. His eyes were locked on Clara, the girl painting murals of color and pain, the embodiment of hope crawling out of despair. He could almost hear his heartbeat, a constant drum echoing the chaos in his mind. The words family and guilt banged like fists against his thoughts. He felt the pull towards the kid, to reach out, to claim her as part of a past he couldn't escape. But before he could step closer, before he could make the choice that would change everything, a loud crash shattered the night. Silence hung heavy for a brief second, like the world had collectively breathed in. Then Lucas felt el ruche de viento de la bola cuando Gita engulló ahí dentro, y el mundo se le volvió en una caída lenta, en donde Ánima se corría cerca de ella. «¡Estás detenido!», Lucas gritó. Su voz mojita estaba secando con Clara protegida. El Ali, una vez vibrante con arte y sueños, ahora un caótico sitio de terror. Headlights piercing darkness, iluminando faces capturados en puro horror. Then, si el universo no podía quedarse quieto, otra Gita perdida la mirada fuera de la calle. Y la moto porrido completo. Another figure stepped out from the shadows, moving with calculated precision. Lucas caught sight of the attacker. His breath hitched. It was his business partner, Nick, the smooth talker with a smile that cut like glass. "What the hell is going on?" Lucas rasped, his heart thumping in his ears. Nick's eyes locked onto Lucas, and in that moment, everything shifted, an unsettling wave, rippling deeper than the noise around them. "We've got a problem, Lucas," Nick shouted through clenched teeth. "They're not backing down! We need to—" But the menacing silence returned, and something else landed hard, like a rock thrown into a still pond. Clara paled, the color draining from her cheeks. "Who are they?" Lucas turned to her, confusion swirling in his chest. "What do you know?" His head spun, pieces of the puzzle snapping together with an unsettling click. "I don't know." Danger! It all twisted into a knot. He would have to choose, not just between riches and doing what's right. No, this choice could cost him everything. Could the truth about Clara bring destruction? Or could it be the lifeline he never knew he needed? As they huddled together, the flames flickering, illuminating their faces. The night shifted around them. Uncertainty began pulling tighter with every heartbeat. The flames danced, flickering shadows across Clara's face. Her fear etched deep into her features. The alley felt smaller, the air thick with smoke and panic. Lucas felt every heartbeat in his chest, every whisper of doubt clawing at him. He huddled closer to Clara and Mama Sol, instinct driving him to shield them from the chaos brimming outside their fragile circle. He could taste the burning rubber, hear the shouts piling up as if the city itself was about to explode. Nick was saying something, but his words were lost in the fray. Lucas couldn't focus. Clara's brother was out there, her world collapsing amidst the gunfire. And he still had no idea what truth was hiding just beneath the surface. Then, like a bolt of lightning, the sound of another gunshot cracked through the air. A deafening pop, followed by a guttural scream. Lucas's eyes darted to the source, seen only as a shadow darting around the corner. It was chaos, and in that moment, everything seemed to tumble down from stability into wild uncertainty. "Lucas!" Clara's voice was a mixture of terror and urgency. "We need to go! Now!" Before he could respond, another figure emerged, staggering out of the smoke. It was a man, bleeding, his shirt soaked crimson, his face twisted in agony. Lucas was stunned. Fear froze him. Who was this? Then the man's eyes locked with his, and Lucas's breath caught in his throat. Darkness flooded his memory. It was a face he had long buried within the confines of his mind. A face he never expected to see again. "Dad?" Lucas gasped, the word tumbling from his lips like a wrecking ball. It hit harder than any bullet. The alley's chaos faded. The world shrank around them. Everything pulled taut. The flames, the fear. It felt like a ghost bursting from the shadows of a forgotten past. "Lucas, who?" "Shut up!" he screamed, not at her, but at himself. The truth crashed through him. All these years, building his empire, living the life of luxury, while family lay shattered in the streets. This was not just a coincidence. His past had come back, dripping blood and darkness, threatening to undo everything he had constructed. His father staggered forward, but Lucas was paralyzed by a tempest of emotions. "You shouldn't be here." Fear, intertwined with rage, resentment, igniting like dry grass catching fire. "You left. You disappeared." I had no choice." His father coughed, each word laced with pain. Truth, threatening to unfurl the bitter tapestry of their history. But desperation had taken hold of Clara. "Who is he? Why are you scared?" Her voice trembled, but it was stronger than fear. In that instant, the air shifted, the stakes higher than Lucas had ever faced. The gunfire, the shadows of the city, they all blurred into a chaotic backdrop for the real threat unraveling before him. Everything he had fought for suddenly felt like sand slipping through his fingers. "Clara, I can't!" He couldn't breathe, reality crashing in waves, grappling for control. Then it hit him, a shocking realization. What if his father wasn't just a lost soul? What if he was connected to the world of violence that had come for Clara's brother? The question swirled, dark and heavy. Should he trust him? Could he fight for Clara and still save himself? The choice loomed as Clara's brother hovered in the unknown, and the truth about his father clawed at his insides. "But we need to save him!" Clara's shout sliced through his turmoil. Lucas's eyes met his father's, the weight of centuries hanging in the air. "What have you done?" The flames reflected in their eyes, illuminating the tension, building like a storm ready to break. No answers, just desperation tightening around them. As the chaos continued to spiral, Lucas stood at the edge of two worlds, one that promised power, and another drenched in the pain he couldn't escape. What now? Would he risk it all? The world trembled, and the question hung, sharp and intoxicating. How deep did the roots of this nightmare go? Would he face the truth, or was running away once again the only option? The decision buzzed like electricity in the air, begging for a release. Lucas watches Clara paint, her brush dancing over the wall as if it were a canvas. The colors pop, vibrate, and breathe life into the gray city. He feels the weight in his chest grow heavier. Memories of his struggles collide with what he sees before him, a spark of hope in a world that often snuffs it out. But then, a loud screech. Tires screeching, metal clashing. Panic erupts around them. A black SUV rams into the curb, swinging dangerously close to the wall where Clara works. Lucas's heart races. People scream. Terrified faces whirl around him. This is not how it was supposed to go. The SUV door swings open, and a group of well-dressed men spill out. Their eyes dart, scanning the scene like wolves. Lucas recognizes them, his partner's goons, the ones sent to crush dreams. He feels ice snaking up his spine. They've come for Mama Sol and Clara. "Hey," he shouts, rushing toward them. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" The man in front, all sharp suits and slick hair, sneers. "This is private property now. You do well to step back, billionaire." The tension hangs thick like fog. Lucas's mind races. He could turn around, let Clara fend for herself. After all, he has everything to lose. But slipping back into that life, that careless world where he leaves others to suffer? No, not again. "Back off, man!" Lucas growls, planting himself between the goons and Clara. "You don't want any part of this." The words spill from his lips, laced with desperation. Suddenly, Clara steps forward, eyes ablaze. "Leave her alone! We're not going anywhere!" The courage radiating from her is unbreakable. It knocks the breath out of him. Then the world tilts. A gunshot rings out. Time slows. Lucas's heart stops. A woman's scream pierces through the chaos, scattering the crowd. Clara's hands tremble, paint drips forgotten. Mama Sol collapses against the wall, eyes wide, mouth forming a silent scream. The evening sky burns crimson, mirroring the terror unfolding. Lucas lunges, adrenaline surging as he races to Mama Sol, kneeling beside her. A cold dread grips him. She's not moving. Panic threatens to swallow him whole. "No, no, no," he whispers, shaking her gently. The bustling crowd blurs, deadened to the panic around them. Then it happens. A tiny crumpled photo slips from Mama Sol's pocket and flutters to the ground. Lucas picks it up, gasping as he reconoce las faces. Su madre. y una chiquita con el pelo rizas. Clara. Su sangre se vuelve de helo. Una realización inquietante que se le acerca. ¿Clara es familia? Todavía le queda pena respirar. ¿Fue un artista que luchaba por la sobrevivencia? ¿Una lealtad que los conecta? Y que el pobre que no sabía que existía. Su mente que nada explotará en el caos. This was never just about business or perder su imperio. It was about blood. About the painful truth he had buried for too long. Clara? He stammers, torn between the weight of revelation and growing dread. We need to talk, now. Before he can dive deeper, another gunshot shatters the air. The chaos reignites, sirens wailing in the distance. Lucas feels the ground shift beneath him. Everything he thought he understood, crumbling. Questions buzz through his mind like angry bees. What will he do? How will he face the truth? But before he can take a step forward, the world erupts into darkness. A shadow looms, and Lucas's heart races. The game has changed, and the stakes, they just went through the roof. Just as Lucas stands there, heart pounding, a collision of memories and ambitions. Then it happens. A deafening bang echoes in the air. It's not fireworks, it's a crash. A car plows through the crowd, tires screeching, chaos erupting. People scream, surging to get out of the way. A woman near him falls, dropping a cardboard sign that reads, "Home is where the heart is." The moment hangs in the air, thick with fear. Lucas freezes, rooted to the spot. Clara's spray cans tumble from her hands, rolling like lost dreams. Mama Sol pushes Clara aside, her body a shield, but for how long? Adrenalina spikes through Lucas's veins. The world blurs. Instinct kicks in. He races toward them, ready to save. The warmth of his suits stands in stark contrast to the icy dread pooling in his stomach. But it's not just the chaos of the moment that sends his mind racing. No, something more sinister lurks beneath it all. As he runs, he locks eyes with Clara. And in that split second, he sees it. Her expression morphs from fear to something sharper. Recognition? Knowledge? Like she knows something he doesn't. The vehicle swerves towards them, and Lucas lunges just as it skids to a stop. He grabs Clara's arm, yanking her back. But the driver, a man with wild, darting eyes, flings open the door. "Get out!" comes the frantic shout. Clarity hits. This isn't just an accident. It feels coordinated, a calculated move. And suddenly all eyes turn to the man. "Lucas!" someone yells from behind. It's David, his partner. Panic painted across his face as he stumbles through the crowd. Do they know? The driver shouts something incoherent, and before anyone can react, he pulls out a gun. A black steel flash that turns the moment into horror. Lucas's mind races. Protect Clara. Protect Mama Sol. But in the mix of his mind's turmoil, another voice whispers like ice. This man, he knows something. Your past isn't as buried as you think, Lucas. The driver screams, pointing straight at him. The crowd gasps. A deadly hush falls. Lucas feels something dark twist within him. Old ghosts rise up, clawing at his insides. "Clara!" he shouts back, but it's too late. The truth hits like a tidal wave. Clara, with her art that seems so innocent, isn't just a girl from the streets. She's connected to him in ways he never thought possible. "No, it can't be," he murmurs, heart racing. The whisper of the crowd morphs into a chorus of disbelief. Clara's wide eyes reveal confusion, hurt, a mirage of hurt and recognition clashing in the space between them. Then, as if the universe takes joy in their turmoil, another figure appears among the chaos. A woman, old and regal despite her rags, steps forward from the shadows, eyes shimmering with a knowing fire. "It's time you face the truth, son." Lucas rocks back, breathless. "What do you mean? It's not just someone's past, it's his, crashing back like a wave." The revelation splinters through the air. The streets, the brokenness, the ever-present weight on his chest. It's all part of a story he thought he could escape. And as he glances from Clara to Mama Sol, everything shifts like quicksand beneath his feet. Heart pounding, his world doesn't just tilt, it shatters. What will he choose when everything turns upside down? What bonds do you risk losing when past truths threaten to reshape your future? As the woman steps closer, her presence impenetrable, and the gun remains poised, Lucas realizes the stakes just skyrocketed. "Where do we go from here?" "Dot," he whispers, lost in the weight of choices yet unseen. Lucas felt the weight. "They're pulling the eviction papers now. You know they've got the power." That familiar ache crashed into Lucas like an unplugged electric current. Memories surged, hiding under bridges, scavenging for food, feeling invisible. He had vowed never to let that life touch him again. But now, Clara's wild spray paint strokes danced brighter in the chaos, her art a beacon against the tidal wave of greed. But the world didn't see art. They saw property, zoning laws, and opportunity. Lucas clenched his hands, the gold rings digging into his skin. "Lucas!" Greg shouted again, his voice slicing through the tension. "We're losing the deal. You either take care of this or we're done." Before Lucas could respond, something wild erupted from the now huddled spectators. A tiny figure bolted from the shadows, darting straight towards the car. Lucas's heart dropped. It was a kid, too young to fully grasp what was happening. "Get away!" Clara shouted, but it was too late. The kid reached the car, hands outstretched like a plea. "Don't take her! She didn't do anything wrong!" The moment felt surreal. Time stretching thin. The lead man from the car, a suit with predatory eyes, dismissed the child with a flick of his wrist. But the kid wouldn't back down. The crowd held its breath, tension thick enough to slice. "Stop!" Lucas barked, but the cause felt distant, muffled by his own heartbeat. Then the ground shook beneath them. A low rumble echoed, and suddenly a police siren wailed from down the street, growing louder. Its blare pierced through the chaos, bright, unsparing. The assembled crowd turned, confusion rippling through them. But it didn't take long for Lucas to realize they weren't here for him. The police car screeched to a halt, blocking the sidewalk. Officers swarmed out, faces hardened with purpose. Lucas's stomach turned. They weren't interested in the eviction. They were here for Mama Sol. "Ma'am, we need to talk," an officer said. But then the unthinkable happened. Before anyone could process the implications, a voice rose from the police car's loudspeaker. "We have reason to believe Anna Bailey, alias Mama Sol, is wanted for multiple counts of theft and assault." Shockwaves hit the crowd like a thunderclap. Lucas froze. Clara turned, eyes wide. Disbelief hanging in the air. The child nearby gasped, disbelief transforming into despair. Lucas felt his stomach twist. How could this be? The past, a ghost he thought was buried, rushed forward, choking the air from his lungs. Was it possible Clara's art had been a cover for something darker? Or could Mama Sol be someone entirely different? Everything Lucas thought he knew shattered in an instant, leaving him trembling, heart racing, caught between loyalty and the web of truth, threatening to unravel everything. The crowd buzzed with questions. No one seemed to know what would happen next. But the danger was tangible. Lucas had to decide. Step into a fight he feared would take everything from him, or slip back into the comfort of his gilded cage. For a moment, all he could hear was the steady drum of his heart, the silence puncturing through the chaos, and then a loud gasp from Clara. No, it can't be! What had he unleashed? What did he truly know about Mama Sol? The world felt like it was spiraling, and Lucas was the only one with power enough to bring it back. If only he could find the courage to act. As Clara, "We need to take her in. Mama Sol!" Clara screamed, her voice trembling raw with fear. The officer stepped forward, but Lucas barely heard him. The world came crashing down, a symphony of chaos echoing in his ears. "Mama Sol, please, you can't." He rushed toward them, his heart pounding, the weight of his past crashing against him like relentless waves. But before he could reach her, Clara's expression changed. Suddenly, there was an urgency in her eyes, a spark igniting a storm. "Wait!" she shouted, her voice slicing through the confusion. People paused, breath catching. "You can't take her!" But her words were lost in a surge of commands from the police. A group of officers moved closer, their faces like stone, unwavering. Lucas felt the ground shift beneath him. The world tilted alarmingly. He was losing everything. The very people he had grown to care about, torn apart in an instant because of him. Then the chaos unfolded even more. Out of nowhere, a blaring horn erupted as a familiar figure burst through the crowd. It was Nick. His eyes were frantic, hands raised like a man surrendering. "Stop!" he bellowed, cutting through the panic. "You don't understand!" "What is he doing?" Lucas hissed, turning toward him, anger and confusion battling within. Nick rushed forward, desperation written across his face. As he neared, the tension snapped like a tightrope. "You don't know who she really is!" Nick shouted, voice piercing the crowd. "Mama Sol is not who you think she is. She's—" The next words hung in the air, heavy with implications. As Lucas felt the blood drain from his face, "She's wanted for something much bigger than just theft." A gasp escaped the crowd, whispers darting around like startled birds. Clara's eyes widened, shock morphing into something darker. "What?" Nick glanced back at the officers, clearly weighing his options before continuing. "She's an informal part of a gang, the same one that dealt with." In that moment, the police tightened their grip, moving closer like wolves encircling prey. Lucas felt sick. The air turned thick, suffocating, as Clara's hands trembled at her sides. She looked to Lucas, a storm brewing behind her eyes, searching for answers. "Is it true?" she whispered, voice fractured. In that moment, everything shifted on its axis. Mama Sol opened her mouth to speak, but before she could utter a word, a roar exploded from the shadows. Another vehicle barreled into view, crashing through the chaos, windshield glinting ominously in the dim light. It came to a screeching halt, just inches from where Lucas stood. From the car, a figure vaulted out. A tall man dressed in dark clothing, face obscured by shadow. The heartbeat of the crowd quickened, people moving back instinctively. "Step away!" the stranger shouted, pulling out an imposing weapon, voice booming. "I won't ask again." Lucas's heart raced. Chaos erupted. People screamed, some ducked. Clay-colored smoke spiraled toward the sky as the newcomer's intentions became clear. In the frenzy, Clara grabbed Lucas's arm, gripping it tightly. "What is happening? What do you know?" The stranger's gaze fell on Lucas, piercing and unwavering. "You don't even know the half of it." The words were laced with darkness, and Lucas felt something cold creep down his spine. As the crowd buzzed with fear, Lucas's mind raced. The world shifted, revealing fragments of his past he had long thought buried. Secrets, lies, all entwined in this dangerous game. "What do you mean?" he demanded, bewildered. But before the stranger could answer, gunfire erupted, sharp and echoing. Lucas instinctively pulled Clara close, panic coursing through him. Everything seemed to slow as the truth hung in the air like an unresolved chord, ready to shatter the delicate balance they had frantically been trying to maintain. And in that explosive moment, a truth buried deep began to unfurl, shaking the very foundation of their lives. Lucas could feel it. A revelation approaching like an incoming storm, threatening to consume them all. "Clara!" he started, but her frightened eyes met his. The world trembled as secrets, lies, and decisions spun together, swallowing the night whole, leaving nothing but question marks hanging thick in the air. The flames flickered, painting everything in shades of orange and fear. Lucas held Clara's eyes, clutching her hand as the shadows twisted around them. Chaos crackled in the air like static, the police demanding answers, the crowd gasping at the unthinkable. But just as it felt like everything would collapse, a figure emerged from the chaos. Jason was supposed to be gone, another ghost from a past Lucas had tried desperately to escape. "Why are you here?" Lucas's voice trembled, disbelief crawling over him. Jason's presence felt like a shadow returning from the grave. "Lucas!" Jason shouted, urgency bursting from him like a dam breaking. "You've got to listen. It's all connected. Mama Sol, Clara, they're part of something bigger than you think." The words struck like lightning. Clara's grip tightened around Lucas's arm. "What do you mean?" But the moment hung, thick with tension, and the fear engulfing Lucas twisted deeper. He felt the weight of his family history crushing down, revelations clawing to escape. Jason stepped closer, eyes frantic. "I'm not here to hurt anyone, but we don't have time. They've been after us for years." "Who's been after us?" Lucas demanded, his heart pounding. Around them people moved, shuffling backs and shifting eyes, feeling the approach of chaos. "Traffickers," Jason said sharply, voice trembling with gravity. "Mama Sol was once part of their circle. They never broke free. You don't understand. They're coming for her, for Clara, for the brother." The words broke off, and he staggered under what it meant. "Mama Sol?" Lucas whispered, the very name feeling like betrayal on his tongue. The past clawed through him. The shadows he thought he had escaped were now clawing their way back into the light. Clara's eyes widened, filling with an emotion locked somewhere between anger and disbelief. But she's family! Duh. Family? Jason scoffed, voice laced with pain. It's always been twisted, Lucas. You think you found safety? You think you can build a life on lies? The fervor in his eyes dimmed slightly, like realization washing over him. Lucas felt the world spin. Then why save us now? Before Jason could answer, the gunfire erupted again, louder this time, echoing around them like a thunderclap. Chaos raining down. A scream pierced the air, and Clara fell back, shock painting her face. Mama Sol! She cried out, eyes darting toward the direction of the sound. Lucas's heart slammed in his chest. Fear and confusion twisted inside him, threatening to consume every ounce of control he thought he had. Nick pushed back through the crowd, his face pale, desperate as he grasped at Lucas's shoulder. We need to get them out, now, before it's too late. But exhaustion warred with urgency, and Lucas glanced back at Jason. What do you want me to do? Stand with them, Jason implored, before it all goes up in flames. His voice dropped, a plea wrapped in emotion. Then came a noise, crashing and explosive, shattering the chaos. Lucas turned, eyes widening as a second black van whirred in, lights blaring. The doors popped open, and more men spilled out, faces masked, ready for violence. As they stormed toward them, confusion turned to pure instinct. Searing adrenaline surged. Clara, run! Lucas shouted, pulling her back. But it was too late. In a flash, an explosion rocked the ground, lifting both men from their feet. As a reality-shattering truth unfurled, Mama Sol was not just a victim. She was the connection, an underground queen in a game extending far beyond what Lucas could grasp. The ground trembled. Their lives hung in peril. As Lucas lay on the ground, gasping for breath, everything began to unravel. The truth had come home, tied them together in pain and fear. Secrets tumbled like stones as the chaos swirled endlessly around them. Would they find safety? Or were they too deep in a web spun long before they were ever born? And through the haze of fear, Lucas realized he had to decide. Would he fight to protect the family he'd never known, or run from the shadows now clawing their way into the light? The question hung heavy, rippling between them, begging for a choice, even as the flames danced toward the sky. Lucas's chest constricted as confusion raged. The world spun around him, chaos erupting like a tempest. Jason's words cut deep, a raw truth unfurling before them. The police, the gunfire, and now the shadows creeping back. Everything coalesced into a storm of emotion. Mama Sol, Clara screech, voice tremblando. The warmth of empathy surged inside Lucas, pushing him forward. She's innocent, but guilt and shame settled heavy on his shoulders. Clara's plea ignited something inside him, a flicker of hope struggling against despair. He couldn't let anyone take her away. Not now. Not after everything. The tension snapped when the man with the gun advanced. Lucas felt his heart race. "Stay behind me!" he shouted, instinct kicking in. He pulled Clara close, shielding her with his body, while Jason stepped in front, steady and unflinching. "I'll take care of this," Jason yelled, voice elevated. You don't have to do this! But another shot rang out. Silence followed, thick and suffocating, before chaos erupted again in blood and screams. Lucas's heart froze as time slowed. He looked at Clara, her eyes wide, shimmering with tears that reflected the flames licking the alley walls, a mirror of their plight. The stranger's gaze softened for a moment, searching for vulnerability. "You don't know what you're getting into," he warned. "This is bigger than you!" Finally, but even in the throes of fear, Lucas pressed forward. "Let them go! Let Mama Sol go!" His voice cracked under the weight of desperation, the urgency filling his veins with fire. Just then, a flicker of movement caught Lucas's eye. Mama Sol pushed through the crowd, her spirit unbreakable. "Stop!" she cried, moving against the tide. "You don't understand!" The police were disoriented, and for a heartbeat, the world paused. Clara's breath hitched. Then she surged forward. Lucas squeezed her hand, feeling the pulse of her determination. "We have to protect her." Rushing toward Mama Sol, their hands met, intertwining with fierce resolve. The heat of the flames danced around them, illuminating their path. "Together!" Clara whispered fiercely, and Lucas knew in that moment it was now or never. And just as it felt like the world would collapse, the police held their position. The tension grew and grew until it reached a breaking point. Lucas felt it. Something had shifted in the air. "Enough!" Mama Sol cried out. "I am more than my past." She stepped into the light, stronger than ever. The raw command of her voice cut through the chaos, a call for unity. "You want to know who I am? I'm a survivor." The man with the gun hesitated. Lucas felt his heart racing as he saw the flicker of doubt pass through the crowd. Mama Sol stood tall, her eyes reflecting strength. Children should never pay for their parents' sins. This is about choices. Miraculously, the man lowered his weapon. Silence enveloped them, tension mingling with resolve, as fear began to ebb, replaced by the spark of hope igniting in the crowd. "I've seen darkness, but I choose light!" Mama Sol declared, and Lucas could feel Clara squeeze his hand. "We choose family!" In that moment, everything shifted. The fire dimmed, colors brightening in the flames. For the first time, Lucas felt the weight of guilt lifting. But in the back of his mind, a lingering unease remained. The past was a storm, ever looming, but they had taken steps to break its cycle. In this fragile moment, they had defied fate. Lucas looked at Clara, their hands intertwined, and smiled through the chaos. "No matter que como venga, enfrentámoslo, tu Mama Sol, la más vuelta, Clara." Clara lloró, y por primera vez la calidez de la familia sentía real. Así, los sirenes se tenía a vueltas con Cadrás, y Lucas se puso más allá de su familia. Estaban cada uno libres que se levanten en ese callejo. De esperanza huían. De repente, el mundo se parecía más ligero. You have to subscribe now to this channel. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait even a second longer to share this amazing journey with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. It's crucial, and your reactions matter. So flood the comment section below with your thoughts and theories. And remember, smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive.